Well, it's time for another SPL weekly recap with Finch and Dave. We're going to be going through Phase 2, Week 3, and I'll start things off with Ghost versus PK. And spoiler alert, it was a quick week, and Set 1 on Friday between Ghost and the Knights was no exception. Great news for anyone who is a big fan of almost perfect games. Game 1 was not particularly close, as the Knights are only able to scrape together just one kill by the end of it. And this is maybe what we need to expect from Ghost moving forward. A few precedents are set throughout the games here. Fine OK will make you sad if you give him Cthulhu. Twig is really starting to roll. PBM is good. Hera is still bae. Come back to me, please. And the list goes on. It really seems like letting Ghost draft a whole bunch of pressure and not having a lot of it in return is a bad thing. Another dominant performance in Game 2 puts the Knights down quietly. I'm talking Blanky, Nightlight, and all. After the PSK squad takes their chances against Fine OK's Cthulhu once again, though most of the kill pressure comes from Sam and Panda this time around. It's the perfect start to the week and the phase so far for Ghost Gaming, who are clearly here to play, and the rest of the league needs to get out of their way. What about you, Dave? What do you have for me for the second set on Friday?
Hey, what do you have for me, I guess, is a great follow-up question. I'm going to find out here. Let's see what Finch wrote for me. The second set of the day saw the improving Renegades taking on one of the big dogs in Space Station Gaming. And even though Renegades have been looking competitive, it was Space Station who were in control of the set from start to finish. And even then, I'm not giving the credit where it's due. This set was owned by Cherio, Nika, and Dardes. Take that for sale sign down. It's theirs. They just might be the scariest 3-on-3 combination in the league. I agree. And unfortunately, the Renegades got a front row seat. Cherio set the pace in both games, playing Nemesis in Game 1, surprising no one, and Hebo in Game 2. In both games, they allowed SOT to play Cthulhu, so Cherio had to spend time over in the solo lane. That meant Nika got to be tremendously impactful as well. Plus, playing Amaterasu both games didn't hurt either. No, can't disagree with that one. All they needed at that point was a hard carry, and Dardes provided it. Just now how you might have thought. Just not how you might have thought, excuse me. Chang'e and Jingwei were the mid lane picks, because who needs traditional mages? Apparently no one nowadays, as SSG grabbed the win 2-0 without much trouble, and that'll round out the day on Friday.
Yeah, to kick off Saturday, Radiance and Obey would go toe-to-toe. It's Radiance looking to keep the undefeated streak alive, and Obey hoping to strike for the first win of the phase. Game 1 is one that Obey and Obey fans would like to forget. It was a quick affair where Obey is only able to strike for a few kills, and Robin and Cupid run wild for adapting and Cyclone respectively after finding pressure all over the map in the early game. But it's time for Game 2, the weights come off, and Obey strike back. Is what I would have said if they won. Radiance do take the set 2-0, but I will take a second to give Obey their due credit. They took Radiance, one of two undefeated teams remaining, to the limit in Game 2 after Wowie and Sino put in good performances. Unfortunately, Cyclone on Cupid would go untouched, and the same can be said for Benji on Sun Wukong out of solo. This Radiance team gets me more hot and bothered than Dolson San Sunscreen in Midsummer Heat, and their date with Ghost lies just around the corner.
That is crispy and red, believe me. But that's it for the first set on Saturday. The final set on Saturday was a battle between middle-of-the-pack teams, EUnited and Sanguine. Sanguine, after failing to find wins against Radiance and SSG, were looking to bounce back against EUnited. EUnited, on the other hand, were still trying to find their rhythm. Snoopy was still struggling in support, and Guy J was still acclimating to the SPL, which put a lot of pressure on Hurry, Scream, and Variety. Kind of like how all the pressure is on Finch to carry these recaps since he's stuck with me. Wait. Oh, no, I guess you're right. Force self-burns aside, yeah, I totally wrote that. Sanguine seemed locked in for their set against EUnited. Shinto, in particular, had a monster performance on Merlin in Game 1, racking up over 26,000 player damage in a 30-minute game. He was aided by a strong game from Panatom on Thor, which is quickly becoming a frightening combo. On to Game 2, which brought all of the hype expected from a close matchup. I was on the edge of my Maxonomic Elite Plus gamer throne, and EUnited clawed their way back into a close game, largely bolstered by rookie Guy J's strong performance on Rom. Late game Smite is still Sanguine's time, though. A sneaky horse ult from Rongyu allowed Sanguine to crash the party and seal up a 2-0 victory and round out the day on Saturday.
All right, it is time. The big one, the granddaddy of them all, Ghost up against SSG. Undefeated behemoths tackle one another into the dirt, and fans are better off for it. Game 1, PBM rolls out the Geb, and the world is left in disbelief as the low early pressure, put that in quotes, support pick just steamrolls Nika in the solo lane with some help from Sam. This game was incredible to watch from a strategy perspective. Ghost showed us time and time and time again what they wanted to do, and they just kept doing it. Cthulhu might as well have been a support pick by the time the mid-game hit, and the mid-game was really end-game in Game 1. A 16-ish minute Fire Giant turns into GG 22 minutes in, a dismantling for Ghost, and SSG fans are left hoping the Ghost Boys step on some Legos. Game 2 would be a better look for Space Station, but leaving Emoja open for PBM, you sure you want to do that? Seems like a bad idea. Early mid-lane pressure was exerted by Space Station and actually found some good value, but a sick fight turnaround and double kill by PBM would get the snowball going. By the end of it, Twig was aiming for a Game 3, but the rest of Ghost dragged him over the finish line, and the spotless record is continued thanks to flawless play by Ghost.
I couldn't believe that one was as fast as it was, just off script for a second. That was a fun set, but it was very quick. The final set on Sunday, though, Finch, let's see what you wrote for me here. The two most late-game skewed teams in the league, Sanguine and the Knights, unsurprisingly take both games to the late game. Hopefully they'll be more considerate in the future. I can't hang around too late. I've got Tinder dates to disappoint. Or is it Hinge? I don't know what all the kids use nowadays. Hinge probably the better option. Either way, the Knights and Sanguine both needed wins to try and get back towards an even record. In Game 1, Sanguine looked strong, but the difficult task of beating PK was made harder by allowing Neil to steal the FG and letting Paul play Aphrodite. Mix in Scary D's fearsome Cthulhu, and it's no surprise this game went over 40 minutes. Even against that strong composition, Sanguine wouldn't be denied. Netrioid and Panatom popped all the way off, not halfway, all the way off on Rom and Mercury, and were eventually able to force a Game 1 win. Game 2 was, if possible, even more of a nail-biter. PK were behind, but close enough to hold on until that 35-minute mark. They defend their Titan and try to make their own counter-push to the end, but Sanguine holds them off, especially Wrong You, and allows Fire Minions to win the game for them. Vamos Minions, vamos Sanguine, and that wraps up Week 3 of Phase 2 of Season 7 here in the SPL. And that's our recap as written by Finch and Dave, and then as told by Dave and Finch. Thank you all for watching. Here's to watching Week number 4.